The wedding venue next door was ruining my life, so I figured out how to make them pay. Literally. I bought my house 8 years ago. 2 years later, someone turned the property next door into a wedding venue. The venue had a small parking lot that filled up fast, and guests started using my driveway as a turnaround spot. At first it was occasional, but then it became constant. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from April through October, there would be cars pulling into my driveway and blocking me in for hours during receptions. I went to the venue owner to ask her to put up signs directing guests not to use my driveway. She looked at me like I was crazy and said, "It's not my problem where people turn around. Talk to them yourself." So I tried talking to the guests directly. "Excuse me, this is a private driveway." They would ignore me or roll up their windows or just walk away while I was mid-sentence. One guy told me, "Relax, I'm just turning around," and then didn't turn around and parked there for 4 hours. I put up a sign that said, "Private driveway, do not enter." Guests moved the sign out of the way and pulled in anyway. I put up a chain across the entrance. Guests drove around it through my lawn and left tire tracks in my grass. I called the police and they told me it was a civil matter and they couldn't tow without 24-hour notice to the registered owner. I went back to the venue owner and told her that her guests were destroying my property. She told me that maybe I should move if I didn't like living next to a business. One Saturday, my daughter was having her 7th birthday party and I needed to leave to pick up her cake. I couldn't get out of my own driveway because a white SUV was blocking me in. I waited 3 hours. My daughter cried. When the owner of the SUV finally came back, I confronted him. "You blocked me in for 3 hours. My daughter missed her birthday cake." He looked at me and laughed and said, "Sue me," and then drove away. So I did. I consulted with a contract attorney and asked her about something called contract by conduct. She explained that if terms are clearly posted and someone voluntarily acts in accordance with those terms, they've accepted the contract. I paid her $400 to review my signage and make sure everything was legally airtight. Then I installed a gate. It cost me $3,500, but it was worth every penny. The gate had a sensor and worked on a timer. It stayed open during the day, but if a car without my transponder entered, it would automatically close behind them after 60 seconds. Once closed, it would only open with a credit card payment. The sign was impossible to miss. Private property. Entry constitutes acceptance of parking agreement. $75 exit fee. Payment required at gate. The first wedding after installation was a big one. 6 cars pulled into my driveway to turn around or park. The gate closed behind them. They were trapped. I watched from my living room window as confusion turned to panic, turned to rage. One woman in a bridesmaid dress banged on my front door. "You have to let us out. This is insane. I don't have to do anything. You're on private property and you entered voluntarily. The sign explains the terms." I didn't see any sign. That's not my problem. She paid the $75. So did 5 other people. That was $450 in one afternoon. But one guest refused to pay and called the police instead. 2 officers showed up and I walked outside to meet them. "Sir, this woman says you're holding her car hostage." "I'm not holding anything hostage. She drove onto my private property past a clearly posted sign and now she needs to pay the exit fee to leave. It's a civil matter." The officer walked over to read the sign. "Ma'am, the sign is pretty clear. You might want to just pay the fee. This is illegal. He can't just trap people on his property. It's a civil matter, ma'am. You can dispute it in court if you want, but right now you're trespassing on his land." She paid. The venue owner came storming over the next day, threatening to sue me for interfering with her business. "You're going to take down that gate or I'm going to make your life a living hell." I reminded her that I'd asked her nicely 3 times to help me solve this problem, and she told me to move. "You created this situation. I just adapted to it. This is extortion." "No, this is a business. Something you should understand." "See you in court," she said. "Looking forward to it," I said. She did sue. I countersued for 3 years of trespassing and property damage and emotional distress from my daughter's ruined birthday party. The judge ruled in my favor on everything. She had to pay me $8,500, and the judge told her that my gate was perfectly legal. Last year, I made $47,000 from that gate. I quit my second job and took my family to Hawaii.